Welcome to Pet Pals. I'm Dee Dee and this is Randy, and we are at Frederick County Animal Control on Rosemont Avenue, bringing you some adoptable pets this week. Our first guest is Scooter, and Scooter is a 6-month-old kitten. This is the beginning of kitten season for us, well, for the entire East Coast. Kittens are born anywhere between April and October, and they arrive here starting as early as February, because there are a few that come early. But this is a little kitten that would have been born at the end of last year's kitten season, and he particularly came from a stray cat. So someone found him and brought him to us, and since he's quite young, it's going to be very easy for us to find him a home, and he's also very pretty. So you probably already know that we spay and neuter, microchip, start on vaccinations, deworm, deflea, and pretty much get your kitten ready to move right into your house. And this little guy is super affectionate and going to make somebody a wonderful pet. It always surprises me how animals that are born without a home get to know people, because kittens who haven't been handled by people are very fearful and shy, and you've seen some of them here. But this guy obviously had human caretakers. He knows people are good for scratches, laps, feeding, and all kinds of things. Also, he has a really plush coat, and so sometimes that goes with less shedding. Can't guarantee it, but there is a certain coat that feels kind of like rabbit fur that cats have that doesn't seem to shed as much as the drier, more bristly fur. So Scooter, whose name we made up, and he would not care if you changed his name, is available for adoption from Frederick County Animal Control, and would very much like to have his own place to live with his own family. If you think that he would make a good match for you or someone that you know, come in and meet him or share his picture. We are back with Courage, and Courage is a brown tabby, medium hair. He is 10 months old, and he was born last year to an owned cat, an owner who was not able to get her cat spayed for financial reasons, and brought us the entire litter of kittens last year, except for Courage, who evaded capture. And she did not realize that having a male cat in the house that is not neutered and having a female cat in the house that is not neutered would result in not another litter, but 2 more litters. So she brought us Courage's litter last year, except for him, brought him and the new litter from this year, and that same mother cat now has 2-week-old kittens. So we are helping her to get her cat spayed. And unfortunately, last year we gave her some information about U2SA, who will help you spay your cat or dog. It doesn't cost you a thing. You do have to fill out paperwork. You do have to follow through to get them to do it. But it's well worth it, because unfortunately in this particular case, now there are 8 new kittens, 4 6-month-old kittens, one that you're going to meet in a moment, and 10-month-old kittens as well. So it really matters to spay or neuter your pet, because her reason for bringing them in obviously is now she has too many cats to take care of, and it is then a burden on the taxpayers to take care of the cats that are here. So one nice thing is that because he grew up in a family full of cats and children, he's great. She said the baby hugs all over this cat, and he is wonderful about it. So if you are looking for a pet for some kids, then Courage really might be the one, because he seems to love the affection of and handling from kids and is used to it. And a lot of times the cats that we get, strays, like you just met, Scooter, very affectionate cats, could probably handle any kind of handling from gentle people. But in particular, we know that Courage likes and is used to babies and young children and other cats. So if you think that Courage would make a nice addition to your family, which I cannot imagine he wouldn't, he's also quite beautiful, please come in and meet him, because he's a lovely cat, and you're going to meet his half-brother in a moment, who is a little younger and was also raised just the same way. We are back with Skippy. Skippy is Courage's half-brother, and Skippy is very interested in our parakeets off camera, so I'm not sure how long he's going to stay still. As you can see, Randy's going to have to wrangle him for you to see how pretty he is. He was also raised with a bunch of other cats and babies in the house and is used to all of that commotion. But apparently he inherited a hunter predilection that Courage does not have. So if you are interested in a younger, this guy is only 6 months old, a younger cat, then a lot of people want younger kittens because they feel like they'll bond to them better and they'll enjoy the playfulness of the kitten, which you certainly will. But as you can see, he's less mature, harder to handle, and more curious. And you know how the saying, curiosity killed the cat, is pretty common. There's a reason for that. Little kittens like this one are curious enough to do things that don't serve them well. So if you get a younger cat, you do have to be prepared to keep them safe from their own curiosity. We recommend when you get a new cat that you keep them in the bathroom for a week. And everyone always says, no, that sounds mean. But it isn't, because they're in a tiny cage here. If you just bring them into your house, they're going to hide somewhere. You won't get to know them easily. They won't come out to see you for a couple of days, and so you will not get that initial experience of letting them know that it's your house and it's safe and that you're going to take care of them. By putting them in the bathroom, you get to be the most exciting, wonderful thing that happens every day. Once they count on you, then you can let them out in the house, and they're likely to come to you and want to be with you and approach you for help when they get into trouble. So Skippy is available for adoption, and he's going to be lots more fun because he's young, but a little bit more work temporarily. Sunny is just a year old. He is an orange tabby cat, medium hair, and he's last year's kitten. So as we get ready for this year's kitten season, he's still a baby, but he does need to get into a home of his own so that he can have a safe place to live out his life. And as you guys all know, cats can live 15 to 20 years. It is very common for them to live 12 or 13. But just to be sure, you do need to plan for what you will be doing for your cat for the next 15 years, because one of the reasons that people give up pets is they say they're moving to a place where they can't have pets, or they have to travel out of state and they don't know how to do that with a pet, or even some people get transferred overseas and are afraid that they can't bring pets along with them. And all of that is not true. If you plan ahead, you can arrange for your cat to go with you. I have moved several times in the last 50 years and always taken my cats along. It's not hard to do. It takes a little pre-planning, and they need just the accommodation of how they're going to experience the move. So the first thing you need to do is to make sure the new place where you're moving allows pets. If you're buying, no problem, but if you're renting, one of the things that people often say is the only places I can find to live don't allow pets. Well, in a property management situation, it's very possible that you're not going to be able to change the policy for an entire company. But if you rent from an individual who has a no pets policy, and you bring a letter from your veterinarian that your pet is a good pet at the vet and healthy, if you bring information from your previous landlord that your pet did not wreck up the place, and you prepare to give a security deposit so that the landlord can feel that if the pet does some damage, that he'll be covered financially, you shouldn't have any problem changing someone's mind. And it is well worth it when you are, when you have a family member that's a cat, to include them in your moving plans. Another reason that people give up pets is that they say they don't have enough time to spend with them. So one of the things that's good about cats is they don't require much of your social time, because while you're home at night, the cat is enjoying you then while you're going about your family business. And cats are okay being left alone in the day. But one of the things that people imagine is that here at the shelter we have a magic list of people who stay home all day and have a farm where dogs can run free. And that is not the case. Everyone lives like you do. They're busy, they work, they have appointments, they have a commute, they have a small house. Pets want to be with us wherever we are. So having in mind that you can bring a pet to the shelter and that we will find the magic better home is a little bit of mythology. The home where the cat feels comfortable and knows the routine is where a cat wants to stay. So this little guy, Sonny, has a lot of years left to give, and if you think he would make a good match for you or someone that you know, come by and meet him, or share his picture on Facebook from petfinder.com, or share the link to the Pet Pals at the end of this episode with friends through email, or even on your social networking pages. Well, Easter is coming, and so we would be remiss if we did not talk about typical Easter pets. Southern States right now has chicks, all different breeds of chickens, and probably the most important thing for you to remember about bunnies and chicks is that they turn into chickens and rabbits. So when you are thinking of getting an Easter pet, it can be a great time to have your kids enjoy getting a pet, learning to be responsible about caring for that pet, but you do need to think about how long you're going to have the pet. So chickens can live 10 or 12 years, rabbits can live 10 or 12 years. So let's say you have a 10-year-old daughter and she really wants a bunny. So you get her an Easter bunny. When she is 20 and doesn't live at your house, the rabbit is still yours. So you need to be prepared for that, for the rabbit's sake as well as for our sake. And I can say for taxpayers' sake, because we are funded by tax dollars to take care of dangerous animals or unwanted animals so that they're not a burden on the community. So this little bunny was given up, 3 years old, by someone who no longer wanted to care for him. And he is part lionhead, which is a long-haired fluffy rabbit. And oddly, instead of getting long hair from one parent or short hair from the other parent, he inherited short hair over most of his body with long hair around his neck. So he's very cute. Sometimes people say that they don't like the look of an albino bunny because they have the pink eyes. Well, what's hard about that is it would be exactly the same thing as someone saying, I really think people with white hair look old and creepy. So it's hard to say that what he looks like should be a reason not to adopt him when his personality is what he has to offer. And he has been on outings with us to events around the community where he's handled by strangers. He's been on TV, he's been to the radio station, and we had a Girl Scout group here the other day who sat down on the floor and he hopped among all of them happily. He is a wonderful pet bunny, and he definitely deserves to have a family of his own. If you are interested in Miko or any rabbit, please come to the shelter because, as I said, we have about 7. We also have hamsters and guinea pigs. So if you are thinking about a pet for Easter, talk to us first so we can talk to you about what it involves. We're going to be back after a short break with some other animals available at Frederick County Animal Control. I hope you join us.
Hello, my name is Doug Orner, and I serve as Director of Volunteer Fire and Rescue Service for Frederick County. I've been a volunteer with the Vigilant Hose Company in Emmitsburg, Maryland since 1972. Why do I think it would be a good opportunity for you to become a volunteer? It's a great way to meet new people, learn new skills, And also you can receive college credits for some of the training that you receive. And there's always that reward of hearing a special thank you or a smile on somebody's face whenever you've saved a life or helped them in some way, shape, or form. For more information on becoming a volunteer, visit our website, stop by one of our 26 stations throughout Frederick County, or give me a call at the office. I'll be glad to assist you in becoming a volunteer. Look forward to seeing you at one of the stations in the near future.
We are back with Pretty Girl and Pretty Boy. These are two budgerigars, which are also called Australian grass parakeets. Their normal color is green with black bars, but in the pet trade, there are many, many, many colors of parakeets. These little birds are, one is blue and white, and the other is primarily white. And what is interesting is that the blue and white one is clearly a boy. His, the coloring over his nose is blue, and that is typical of a male parakeet. However, the little white one has no color at all on his or her cere. So we have been assuming that the little white one is a female, but we can't say that for sure because the color of a female cere is brown. Some of the albino type of colors, even though this little bird doesn't have pink eyes, it does have pale coloring of the cere and lots of white on its body. So I cannot tell you for sure if the white bird is male or female. When you can't tell by the coloration, the only way you can tell, well, there are two ways. One way is to have a veterinarian examine the bird surgically and tell you. And to some people, it just doesn't matter enough, so it's not important enough to go through that. But the other way is if it ever lays an egg, then obviously it's a female. And that's how some people surprisingly find out the gender of their bird is not what they thought. Other parrots do not have a difference between the genders. So there's no way to tell by looking at them whether you have a male or female bird. And a lot of breeders will say, well, you can tell by the girth of their pelvis, or you can tell by the size of their skull. Yeah, you have a 50-50 chance of being right. So a lot of people think they can tell by those things, but research shows that none of those things proves out 100% of the time. So in parakeets, if you don't have the cere color evident for you to be able to tell, then they fall into the same category as other types of birds. You have to have a veterinarian tell you, or you just don't know. Because these two little birds feed each other, sit together, and groom each other, we would like to adopt them out together because they are attached to each other, friendly to each other, and birds flock and like to have company because they're social. However, if you do have a parakeet and are considering getting a second parakeet, then you need to know that they have to be placed in side-by-side cages and they have to feed each other before you confine them together. Because, oddly, as tiny and helpless as they appear, parakeets are very territorial and they can harm each other, even up to the point of killing each other. So it is very important not to just get a new parakeet and put them in the cage with your existing parakeet. It can go very badly. But since these guys already like each other and are trustworthy with each other, then we would like to adopt them out together. Chico is a Chihuahua, which might be pretty obvious. But what is not so obvious, he's 1.5 or 2 years old and a boy, he came to us as a stray. So how would you not notice that this is missing? I realize he's tiny and maybe you wouldn't notice right away, but it does surprise me how often that dogs come to the shelter as strays and no one comes to claim them. I do understand that not everyone knows that we are here, but we are the only animal shelter in the county, and we do keep the dogs for 5 days before we offer them for adoption. We place them on the internet. We put them on Pet Finder. The people who find them and bring them to us often put up flyers in the neighborhood where they found the dog, and we try to do everything we can do to reunite them with their family. But sometimes we put them in the newspaper, we take them on the radio station. It's just sometimes it's hard to find the owners of dogs who are not looking for them. So what we do is offer them for adoption. in hopes that we'll find them a new family. We microchip here, so that means that if he ever becomes lost again, which we hope doesn't happen, we would be able to know who his owner is by scanning him and get him back where he belongs. So as I said, Chico is only 1 or 2 years old. So this is the biggest he's going to get. This is all he's going to be. And he loves to be carried. He loves to be pet. And I'm not sure if he's ever worn a sweater before he came here, because he pays a lot of attention to this sweater. But dogs that are this tiny and with this short of hair sometimes need a little bit of help in this weather keeping warm, while bigger dogs think this is the best weather there is. So if you are interested in a little dog like this, then please let us know, because should Chico be quickly adopted, which I suspect will happen, then we have a wish list. So if you know that you want a tiny Chihuahua, you can tell us and we will call you when we get one. This is Goldie, and Goldie is a Chihuahua mix, maybe mixed with a little bit of Pug or Pekingese or something like that. The reason I say that is his broader skull and he has a little underbite. But we never know when dogs come in what their real genetic heritage is, unless they were purchased from a breeder and we feel like the information from that source is reliable. You can do genetic testing at your veterinarians. It's a little complicated to understand how it works. What genetic testing does is it tells you if the dog has any genetic markers that are only found in certain breeds. So it doesn't actually mean that the dog is a mix of those breeds. What it means is that the dog could be used to create those breeds or is related to those breeds. So sometimes it's really frustrating to people that think that they have a Chihuahua and go in and get him genetically tested, and it says that he's part Dachshund, part German Shepherd, part Collie, and people say that's ridiculous. It just means that in a dog genome, only about 3% of the genetic material has anything to do with how they look on the outside. So a lot of times people will say mixed breeds are healthier than purebreds, and it just hasn't proved true in research that's been done. All dogs can inherit any dog problems. Certainly, if you breed related parents together that have a disorder, the chances that their puppies would have that disorder increase. But such a small amount of genetic material involves any kind of inherited diseases. Most diseases are not inherited. So this little guy, Goldie, came to us from a family who said they just didn't have the ability to keep him. They lost their home. He is crate trained. So it'll be easy to house train him, and it will be easy to have him adjust to a new place because he will already stay in a crate quietly. And he's young. Goldie is only 8 months old, and most 8-month-old dogs are not finished with house training, so there's nothing wrong with him. He's just a baby, still working on it. He's gonna get maybe 15% bigger, so he'll be a little bigger than he is right now, but not by much. So this little guy, if you live in a place that has a 20-pound limit, then this guy can be your pet, and without being as tiny as Chico if you're not into the wee little dogs. So if you think that Goldie would make a good match for you or someone that you know, please come by and meet him or pass his picture around. Help him get adopted. Yes, you're a silly girl. We are back with Bree, and Bree is a purebred boxer. She has AKC papers, and one of the things that her puppy picture is online on a puppy sale website. She is 3 years old. She lived in a house with little babies, and she is fine with children. She can be shy if a stranger sneaks up on her, and by shy I mean she'll startle, and then she wags her tail and recovers, and she's fine. So she is very fit and very well cared for, a beautiful dog. So if you have always wanted a boxer, then maybe she will be the dog for you. She does sit when asked. She needs a little help in here because she's nervous. But her owners gave her up because they have a 9-month-old baby at home and they're expecting another baby, and it's a military family. There was someone who was deployed to Japan who was going to take her, but they weren't able to do so. So poor little Bree is in need of a new home. And I say little, obviously, she's a big girl. But one of the things that people like about boxers is that they are usually happy-go-lucky dogs, low-maintenance coat. All you need to do is take a damp washcloth and rinse her off and she'll be all clean, because they are resilient in training and with people. But the funny thing for me is that they're so closely related to the other bully breeds, yet they're never associated with the bad reputation of bully dogs, which is a good thing for Bree, but is just an unusual thing about the logic of people and the press and how images and rumors exist and get started. So boxers are considered fantastic family pets, which they are, even though they are one of the bully breeds. So she is going to make somebody a great pet because she has had the experience that she's had living in a family. She is crate trained, she is house trained, she does sit when you ask her to. So if you're looking for a first dog, she might be a good choice. One of the things you do have to know about large boxers is she needs a lot of exercise, but she has to be careful in hot weather because of her short face. So boxers like to play, but after about 10 or 15 minutes of doing so, they need to take a rest. So please let us know if you're interested, and also you can help her even if you can't adopt her by sharing her picture around. We are back with Major, and Major has been with us for a month, so we know a lot about him now. He came to us as a stray, and he looks like a black-mouthed cur mix, which used to be a really popular farm dog in West Virginia, but you don't see them as much anymore. And I think part of the reason is because they resemble bully breeds like pits, and people don't keep them as commonly as they used to. Major came to us as a stray dog without any manners. And what he's interested in right now is a bunny that's in a cage. So
in his eyesight, you can see it.
And to protect the bunny, we're not going to let him go over there. But as you can see, he does respond very well to direction from us now that he's been here for a month. He was on Pet Pals a month ago.
You moved the birds too?
And if you tune into that old episode, then you'll see that he's much better now. So it's easy for him to learn despite his age of 5 or 6 years old. People often say that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but that's not true at all. We all learn throughout our lives anything that's presented to us in a way that's meaningful. And I hope that you do check out the month-old episode, because you'll see how much he has come to like and accept us here, the staff and volunteers here, and how responsive he is. He sits when he's asked now, but still, of course, he's excited by rabbits and birds, as all good dogs might be. So we think that he's going to make somebody a great pet. Thank you for joining us on Pet Pals. We hope that you found the love of your life today on the show, but if not, tune in next week or send us a wish list request, and we will find the pet that you've been waiting for. Hope you join us next week, and if you share the link on the screen below with people who might be looking for pets, it can really help us get the word out. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.